Hey, how's it going, guys? Chavez again. Hey, we are going to do now 8, 19, 2020. So today we're going to look at radicals. Most of you in the class know how to do this. This is review. We're not going to spend a great deal of time on it. We're going to do it here without a variable, so there's no x or y or p, and we will have a coefficient. So we have a radical. That's what that is. That square root symbol. So we have this number in front, and that is a negative, and believe it or not, that's that magical -1. All right? So we're going to make sure that we put that in there. This is actually number 1 on your homework. So if you do this, make sure that you copy it down and get it on there so that you have it done and I can give you credit for it. So remember, we have to take this number right here, that number 20 first. Well, this number, we're going to let this come down as -1 because we're going to multiply that to whatever we get split up from here to the 20. So we're going to find factors of 20, and we want to find perfect squares. So 2 times 2 or 3 times 3. Okay, and we're going to break these down into prime numbers. All right, so 20. Some things you can think here. Yes, we could divide 20. So we're finding factors. So we could divide 20 by 2 because we know that the 0 is an even number, 0, 2, 4, 6, 8. And we know 2 can go into it. So if I took 20 and I took my calculator and I divided 20 by 2, I would have 10. Because 2 times 10 is 20. 20 divided by 2 is 10. That's how that works. Now, we do not have a perfect square. 2 is a prime number. 10 can be broken down again. So I'm just going to carry that 2 down because we're going to use it. Because remember, this is 2 times 10. And we can break the 10 apart again. Well, it ends in a 0. So we could use 5, we could use 2 because it's even, or 0 because it's 5, or 10, but we don't use 10 because 10 is it. So let's try 2 again. So 10 divided by 2 is 5. Now we have prime numbers. These numbers cannot be broken down except for being divided by 1. So, but here's the thing that we do have. Remember, we're looking for those perfect squares. Well, 2 times 2, it's the same number times itself. That is a perfect square. So we take that is one perfect square, and we put that down here. So we combine those two 2's, and we make it a perfect square, and we put a 2 down here. Now, 5 cannot be broken down. It is not a perfect square. So we are going to bring that down, but we're going to put that back inside the radical. Because the radical says, what perfect squares can we pull out of 20? Well, we could pull that 2 times 2 out of 20. But we're left with that 5. We're almost done, but we still have this operation right here, this times. So -1 times 2, which is -2, and then we attach the times the square root of 5. So this right here is our answer. Okay? Make sure that you follow that step. Now, what you're saying is, okay, Mr. Chavez, well, what if I chose to go in a different way? Because I know 20, 2 will go into it like we did. 5 will go into it because 5, if it ends in 0, we know that 5 goes into it, and we also know that 10 goes into it. Well, we did 2 and 10. So what if we chose to do this? And I'm going to do this off to the side. What if we chose to break this up into multiplying by 5? Well, what is it? 20 divided by 5 is 4, because 4 times 5 is 20. Okay, I know 4 is a perfect square. It's 2 times 2, but if you didn't know that, that's okay. You bring that 5 down because it's prime, and then you break it down into 2 times 2. And look where we're at. We're right back to where we were over here. We circle the pairs because we know that's a perfect square. It comes out of that square root, and it comes down here as a 2. We have that square root of 5 left over. Because technically what we're doing here is we're doing this. This is all square rooted. Like that. And we come out with the same answer, -2 times the square root of 5. All right, that's an easy one. I wanted to show you that because there's one on the homework where that 1 has to be put in there, okay? All right, a little bit more difficult one. Not too much more difficult. You probably should use your calculator. You probably have something on your phone. So once again, you could bring that 4 down. Now we're going to break up 128. Here's the thing about 128. We know it's even. 8 is even number, so we could divide that by 2 if we wanted to. We can also add the numbers together, 8, 9, 10, 11, but 3 doesn't go to 11, 9 doesn't go to 11. 5 can't work because it doesn't end in 5 or 0. The last number is divisible by 4, 20, because 4 goes into 28. That's a harder one for you to know. So I know I could start with 4. But if you don't know, just take 128. It's an even number divided by 2. So if you take 128 divided by 2, you're going to come up with 64. Now, for me, it's already over, because I know 64 is a perfect square root. It's 8 times 8. But if you don't know that, then you might have to break it down again. So since we have 2 times, and then 64. If you know it's 8 times 8, great. Put 8 times 8, you have your pair, and you're done with it. But if you don't, and you still want to try to break it down, you know 4 is even, well, I'm going to break it down by 2 again, Mr. Chavez. That's fine. So 64 divided by 2 is 32. Well, that's not a prime number, so we're still going to have to bring that down. And look, I already have a perfect square right there, so I can actually put that down here if I wanted to. I'm going to move that down because we're going to move over here. So if I break down 32, even number again, I know it's 2. So you're going to take your calculator and do 32 divided by 2, and you come up with 16. For me, again, I know I'm done because I know 16 is a perfect square root. It's 4 times 4. But if you don't know that, that's okay. Keep going. Go ahead, bring that 2 down, and then break 16 apart. Well, I know I can divide it by 2 again because 16 is even, and 16 divided by 2 is 8. I have another perfect square there. So I can actually put that there. I know I'm going downward, but I'm trying to avoid this over here. And if I put that over there, I don't have to keep rewriting these 2's. So I'm going to break that 8 down into 2. So 8 divided by 2 ends up being 4. Well, 4 is not a perfect square, and you can see I'm coming into the other one we just did. So we can bring that 2 down. 4 is not a perfect square root, but you know what, guys? 2, it's 4 divided by 2 is 2. So now we have all prime numbers. But I have another one right there, so I can put that there. Well, but I have a 2 left over. That's got to be square root of 2. So let's even this out. 4 times 2 times 2 times 2, right? Boom, 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 boom. And the square root of 2. Make that nice and easy to look at. So then what we're going to do is multiply all these together. 4 times 2 is 8, times 2 is 16, times 2 is 32. And we still have that square root times the square root of 2. That is our answer. That one's a bigger one. I didn't give you a whole lot. I gave you only one with a larger number. You may have to break it down like that. But if you can see that perfect square root, 64 is 8 times 8. I could have put that 8 down here. And then it would have been 4 times 8. 4 times 8, 32. I could have stopped at 16. That would have been 4 times 4. So I'd have the 2 and the 4. So I would have had 4 times 2, which is 8, times 4, 32. Depending on how you choose to break it down, but if you break it down nice and even. I like to circle, and I put my 2 down, or I put it here, doesn't matter. If I take that and I put that down there, that's great. Then I don't have to keep recopying these 2's down. Once I get a second set of 2's, I circle it, put it down. Get another set of 2's, circle it, put it down. Whatever I'm left over with goes back inside the radical. Then you multiply these coefficients together. 4 times 2 times 2 times 2, which is 32. Okay? Hey, finish out those, 8 problems. If you have any questions, get on our Google Meet. If you get on Google Meet, I'm going to give you 5 extra points. Also, on Thursday, if you have any issues, you can also get on Google Meets at our regular normal class time. Anytime you get on, it's going to be 5 points, because I know that you're trying to figure things out. All right. You have any questions? If it's even further than that, you need some help outside that time, there's that extra help time, that 2:15 to 2:50, that you can email me, and I will keep looking, and we can get a Google Meets going. Or I'm probably just going to schedule Google Meets on there for us. Any questions, email. I almost always get back to you, okay? Take care, guys.